Hey guys, here for you today. I have got a brand new video that I've put a lot of effort into today. It's gonna be the top 5 most haunted houses in America. Most of these houses are so haunted and so scary purely because of what's happened in the houses. I hope you enjoy the video. If you like it, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you want me to do any more. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Number 1. The VILLISCA Axe Murder House. The murder occurred between the evening of June 9th, 1912 and the early morning of June 10, 1912 in the town of VILLISCA in southwestern Iowa. The 6 members of the Moore family and 2 house guests were found bludgeoned in the Moore house residence. All 8 victims, the father, Josiah, the mother, Sarah, their 4 children, Herman, Mary, Arthur and Paul, and the children's 2 friends, Ina May and Lena, had severe head wounds from an axe. That evening, the visiting girls and the Moore family attended the Presbyterian Church, where they participated in the Children's Day program, which Sarah Moore had coordinated. After the program ended at 9:30 p.m, the Moores and the Stillinger sisters walked into the Moores' house, arriving between 9:45 and 10 p.m. At 7 a.m. the next day, June 10th, Mary Peckham, the Moores' neighbour, became concerned after noticing that the Moore family had not come out to do their morning chores. Peckham knocked on the Moores' door. When nobody answered, she tried to open the door and discovered that it was locked. Peckham let the Moore's chickens out and called Ross Moore, Josiah Moore's brother. Like Peckham, Moore received no response, and when he knocked on the door and shouted, there was still no response. He unlocked the front door with his copy of the house key. While Peckham stood on the porch, Moore went into the parlour and opened the guest bedroom door, where he found Ina and Lena Stillinger's bodies on the bed. Moore immediately told Peckham to call Hank Horton, which is the small town's police officer, who arrived shortly thereafter. Horton's search of the house revealed that the entire Moore family and 2 Stillinger girls had been bludgeoned to death. The murder weapon, an axe belonging to Josiah, was found in the guest room where the Stillinger sisters were found. Doctors concluded that the murders had taken place between midnight and 5 a.m. 2 chipped out cigarettes in the attic suggested that the killer or killers patiently waited in the attic until the Moore family and the Stillinger girls were asleep. The killer began killing in the master bedroom where Josiah and Sarah Moore were sleeping. Josiah received more blows from the axe than any other victim. His face had been cut to such an extent that his eyes were missing. They used the blade of the axe on Josiah while using the blunt end on the rest of the victims. They proceeded into the children's rooms and bludgeoned Herman, Mary, Catherine, Arthur and Paul in the head in the same manner as their parents. They returned to the master bedroom to inflict more blows on the elder Moores, knocking over a shoe that was filled with blood. Before moving downstairs to the guest bedroom and killing Ina and Lena, investigators believed that all of the victims except for Lena Stillinger had been asleep when murdered. They thought that she was awake and tried to fight back, as she was found lying crosswise on the bed and with a defensive wound on her arm. Lena's nightgown was pushed up to her waist. She was wearing no undergarments, leading to law enforcement speculating that the killers or killer sexually molested her, or at least attempted to do so. Over time, many possible suspects emerged. including Reverend George Kelly, Frank F. Jones, William Mansfield, Loving Mitchell, and Henry Lee Moore. George Kelly was tried twice for the murder. The first ended in a hung jury, while the second trial ended in an acquittal. Other suspects in the investigation were also exonerated. Some popular paranormal investigation teams have investigated the house, such as Zach Bagans' Ghost Adventures, and the house has also been on multiple TV programs, much like Scariest Places on Earth. The house today is more of a museum than a house. You can go and visit the house, take guided tours, and even stay in the house overnight, if you're brave enough, of course. On a quiet street in a small town of Atchison, Kansas, sits one of the country's most well-known haunted houses. On 508 North 2nd Street is better known as the Sallie House. Over the years, the house has been the subject of several TV shows and has drawn many paranormal investigative teams and psychics in an attempt to unravel the mysteries regarding who or what still resides in the modest 2-story brick home. The home was originally constructed for the Finneys. Michael Finney purchased the home and lived there with his family until his death. In the residence in 1872, there have been many residents and several documented deaths that have occurred in the home throughout the home's history. Michael Finney, 1872. Richard Finney, 1874. William True, 1918. Agnes Finney, 1939. The name Sallie House came to be from a story in which a young 6-year-old girl named Sally, who was suffering from an acute appendicitis, was brought to the house where the local town doctor, Charles Finney, resided and practiced. It is said that in the doctor's haste, he failed to fully anaesthetize the young girl, and she awoke during surgery in terrible pain and horror, and then died from shock and blood loss. It wasn't until the end of the mid-90s when Sally's story first gained both local and national attention. When then owners Tony and Deborah Pickman lived in the home and began noticing strange occurrences, including attacks on Tony, unexplained voices, and apparent burnt finger marks upon mysterious burning candles. After extensive investigations conducted by the Kansas Paranormal Group, it was discovered that Sally wasn't the only ghost haunting the home, but a middle-aged woman as well, who is said to have been behind the more frightening attacks. There have been many paranormal investigation teams who have investigated the Sallie House, and to everyone's surprise, they uncovered a lot more than just spirits. They found evidence of demonic rituals hidden on walls and in the basement. This has led to many to believe that there is a lot more haunting the Sallie House than your average spirit. Many believe there are demonic forces that live within the walls of the Sallie House. Lizzie Borden took an axe, give her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she done, she gave her father 41. On August the 4th, 1892, in Fall River, Andrew and Abby Borden were found hatched to death. Abby was murdered around 9:30 a.m. on the second floor in the guest bedroom, and Andrew was murdered in the sitting room on the first floor after he arrived home around 11 a.m. whilst napping on the sofa, tired from his trip into town that morning. Abby received 19 blows from an axe, Andrew received 11 blows from an axe, mainly to his face. Lizzie was arrested on suspicion of murder and was held in jail for 9 months awaiting her trial. Her trial began on the June 5th in 1983. It lasted for 13 days and Lizzie was acquitted of the murders. Another sickening chapter to this story is one that ended up with 2 children dying. A female relative of the Bordens who lived in the Lizzie Borden house prior actually tried to drown her 3 children in a well, whilst 1 survived and 2 died. She then went and slit her own throat with a razor blade in the house. In terms of paranormal activity in the house, there have been strange going-ons, a lot of which were caught on camera. There have been many paranormal investigations in the house, including Zach Bagans and his team from Ghost Adventures and other YouTube stars such as Oh My Gosh. One paranormal investigation team who had a camera in the basement locked off to a certain area actually witnessed the camera lift up and turn towards them. After they moved again, it then done it a second time, almost as though a spirit was trying to film them. People of all ages who have visited the house have reported numerous going-ons. There is a documented case of a 7-year-old girl actually passing out in Lizzie's bedroom for no apparent reasons. The daughter of the owner of the Lizzie Borden house had her ear pulled after looking at a necklace pendant on the dresser in Abby's room, almost as though she was being punished for it. There have been many cases of people being scratched, pushed and being touched along with footsteps behind them coming up the stairs from the basement. This house is open for the members of the public to visit and take tours, if you dare. The Joshua Ward House. This brick mansion, built for a prominent merchant in 1784, is the exact site where Sheriff George Corwin, a major figure in the Salem witch trials, lived, died and was buried in 1697. Corwin was known as the Strangler for the 19 men and women executed for witchcraft under his watch. Not only did he use the Joshua Ward House for his interrogations, but he's also rumoured that he used his basement in his own home to torture and victimise the accused. Whether they were truly witches or not, his methods were so severe that they would often pledge their allegiance to Satan just to end the horrific punishment. Giles Corey was one of the 19 accused and executed during the Salem witch trials. Whilst most of the others were hanged, Mr. Corey was crushed to death with large rocks by none other than Sheriff Corwin, and Giles is said to regularly haunt the ward residents. There have been multiple witnesses who have claimed that they have been strangled by an unseen pair of hands whilst visiting the Joshua Ward house. Equally as strange are the reports of warm, half-melted candle wax present in rooms where no candles are supposed to be. And perhaps the most frightening of all encounters are that of guests having sudden, unexplained scratches and burns appearing on their arms, in what may be bittersweet revenge for all of the horrendous acts that Sheriff George Corwin committed. If the reports of being strangled by an unseen entity are to be believed, then it sounds as if the strangler has been cursed to forever wander the halls he used to patrol in such a horrible nature, searching for his next victim. The Joshua Ward house was investigated by the Ghost Adventures crew, as well as lots of other paranormal investigation groups, all of which have some really crazy activity. There is also an image which became pretty famous in the paranormal world of what is believed to be a ghostly apparition of one of Sheriff Corwin's victims. The Los Feliz Murder Mansion on the night of December 6th, 1959, in a mansion that sits on a Los Feliz hilltop in Los Angeles. Dr. Harold Paulson struck his wife to death with a hammer, severely beat his 18-year-old daughter, and then ended his own life using a concoction of water, acid, and tranquilizer pills. For the next 50 years, the Los Feliz Murder Mansion would remain completely untouched by anyone. A year after the gruesome murder-suicide, the mansion was sold to a couple, Emily and Julian, who only used the 5,050 square foot house as a storage site. Neighbours recall seeing the couple bringing boxes to the mansion, but never staying overnight. In 1994, Rudy inherited the house and, like his parents, neither stayed nor made any changes to the Paulsons' older decor. This image of a chair in front of the stove is said to be where Dr. Harold killed himself. This image was taken before the first cleanup of the house after it was sold for the first time since the murder-suicide. No one is really sure why Paulson murdered his wife and attempted to murder his daughter. There was talk of financial issues, and I could imagine the stress of keeping up appearances and dealing with mental instabilities could have come, a bit harsh, I guess. The fact that he was a doctor with access to prescriptions could have been an issue. In the 1950s, people weren't open, I imagine, to freely speaking about any issues, never mind those of a mental or emotional nature. The house recently sold in 2016 for a whopping $2.6 million, but since has been put back up for sale for the third time since the murder-suicide. It is believed to be valued at around $3 million and has never been investigated by any paranormal investigators, and has only had a handful of people ever enter the home since the murder-suicide. Okay guys, and that concludes the 5 top most haunted or even scariest houses in the US. This video is very different from anything I've done before on this channel. I really enjoyed making it. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and let me know in the comments if you want me to do more of these types of top 5 or top 10 videos that are, paranormal related or, scary stories, stuff like that. I absolutely love making them, and I just really hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.